Sweet. Okay. Yeah. So, whoops. Oh no. Oh,
What happened?
Oh no. My pop filter. Just a second.
I took a dive. Welcome to Maritime Supernatural podcast. I'm Jill.
I'm Chrissi. Well, Happy New Year. First of all, Happy New Year, Jill.
Oh, Happy New Year.
This is our first episode of 2020 of the new decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has your year been so far?
It's been pretty good. A little up and down, but the weather's been nice. So at least it's that. Other than today, like today's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, you say that, and I look outside, and it's just like
you had
wet
to leave work.
Snow.
You had to leave work early because of the weather today. But
I did.
This is the exception to the rule.
Yes.
Overall, it's been a very kind January. Mind you, February is usually when it gets like real nasty out there.
Yes, that is the truth.
Yeah, but otherwise, it's been a real party of a time over here.
Awesome.
I mean, I've missed you, and I've missed the podcast.
I've missed you too. Yeah, I think it was good that we had a nice, refreshing holiday and just kind of eased ourselves into this new decade. Mm-hmm. I can, speaking for myself, I know I've been hecka busy this January. I've got a lot of. What do they say? A lot of pokers in the fire or something like that. I don't know the saying.
A lot of
irons in the fire.
Irons in the fire. You have a lot of forks in the fondue.
I do have a lot of forks in the fondue. Little bit of meat, little bit of cheese, little bit of strawberry.
In this soup fondue.
Yeah. I was trying to think of what else goes in fondues. And then my mind went from like soup fondue to the chocolate fondue. And then I just...
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm on that journey now. Like marshmallows. Like more chocolate, like chunks of chocolate dipped in the melted chocolate.
But the meat and cheese is still in there, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Pepperoni, chocolate covered pepperoni.
That's somebody's jam.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. No, you've had like a hell of a January.
Yeah,
for sure.
I started a monthly Dungeons and Dragons game with my friends at work, and I started a YouTube channel fairly recent. Actually, our first video went up last month.
Yeah.
For College of Lore.
Yeah, I was about to say you've been busy with College of Lore.
Yeah.
You and Kate. That's great.
Yeah. So, and thank you so much for being a part of our first stream, by the way.
Of course. Yeah. For folks who want to check that out, you can find College of Lore on YouTube, and you can see that the recording of that first stream.
Yeah.
As well as other stuff. All right. So should we get into the first stories of 2020?
Actually, I've got to interrupt you because we have an announcement or two, I think.
Thank you. I literally just said before we started recording, like, don't let me forget to say this. Okay. So there are a few changes to the podcast schedule. One being that we are now only going to be updating every 3 weeks in order to allow us a bit more breathing room with our day-to-day lives and research schedule and everything, and it'll help us keep on track a bit better.
Yeah.
Also, we will only be updating on Wednesdays now. So every third Wednesday is when we'll be getting a new episode of Maritime Supernatural podcast. Again, this is to allow some more. This is to allow a bit more breathing room because now we get an extra weekend to edit instead of having to update on Saturday when the weekend just begins.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
And hopefully this will give us a chance to kind of relax a bit in between episodes as well, and then do some good research and also have some time for editing. So
yes, for sure. Yeah. So this is all to bring you a better quality product that everybody can enjoy listening to.
Yeah. So, and we can enjoy making and keep enjoying without getting burnt out.
Exactly. Yeah. And if this changes, y'all will be the first to know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is episode 8.
Episode 8. Holy moly.
Today I am going back to New Brunswick and I am covering the Dorchester Jail AirBnB in Dorchester, New Brunswick.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I haven't heard of it, so tell me more.
Yeah, it's just recently started to get its own limelight. But it is located right on Main Street in Dorchester, which is about half an hour outside of Moncton.
Okay.
Yeah, and probably about 2.5 hours from here in Halifax. So the jail opened up in 1875. So it's very, very old. But it closed as a jail in the 1990s and is now owned by Torontonians Bill and Natasha Steele, who operate it as an Airbnb.
Okay. Do they have all the bars up? Like, do you go in and they're like, you're locked in here until Monday. Yeah. Enjoy your weekend.
Yes. So like their big thing is that they're like, we keep it as basic as possible. And, you know, like the idea is that you're going to stay in there for like your 1 or 2 nights or whatever and feel like you are actually staying in a jail.
Oh, like, my God.
Yeah. And because this was built in 1875, that means that there's no air conditioning or heating.
Oh my God. Okay.
I think that they do have like space heaters, but yeah, there's no heating like actually for the building.
Oh my!
So they're like, yeah, if you're here in the winter, bring extra blankets, like and extra socks and stuff. Yeah.
Do they not provide you with enough blankets?
They do get, like, you can see in their pictures and their videos and on their Facebook page, like they do have like those heavy like grandma quilts.
That's
but I mean,
nice.
like, yeah, but I mean, like it, like they're like, if you're somebody who gets cold, bring more blankets. Like if you think that you might get cold, bring a blanket. Like
bring a smaller apartment that you can fit into this apartment so that you can stay warm during the winter nights.
Yes. Yeah. Also, none of the jail doors lock.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So they're like, yeah, that prevents you from like getting locked into your cell. But it's also like, yeah, don't leave anything valuable in there.
Yeah.
Especially if there's like other people staying that night.
Wild.
Yeah. Yep. So Dorchester Jail was the site of New Brunswick's last double hanging in 1936. So this was back when New Brunswick still had the death penalty.
Okay. So like back before 20 years ago. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, when did...
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a long time since they had
so.
the death penalty. Yeah.
Oh, I hope
Well, like the death penalty in Canada is just, I don't think it's been a thing for a long time.
Yeah,
but,
thank goodness.
Yeah, brothers Arthur and Daniel Banister were convicted of triple murder, and both were hung back to back at 1 a.m. on September 23rd.
Oh my gosh!
They were then buried together in a pine box on the jail's land. In total, there are over 30 inmates buried on the jail's property. I'm not sure why these two got their own graves. Their own grave, I should say, because they are just in one hole together. But the rest are in a mass grave on the land.
Oh,
and nobody knows
weird.
where that mass grave is. They know the general area of it. It's the same thing with the brothers' gravesite. Like, they're not 100% sure where it is. Mm-hmm. There is like a very peculiar rock on the property, and they guess that that's like where they're buried.
Well, I'm assuming that they buried them together in a pine box to celebrate the final 2-person, what did you call that? A double hanging. They're like, it's the last one. Let's go all out and give them a box.
What's really messed up is that the rope that they used as the noose was the same rope that they used to lower the box into the ground.
Waste not, want not.
I guess not. Yeah.
All of the knots we just said were spelled like K-N-O-T, just so we're all clear.
Yes, yeah. So many of the fixtures inside the jail are original. Like I said, like they still have the bars on the doors. They still don't have heating or lighting. They do have plumbing because that was necessary in jailhouses.
Little novelty.
Pre-1990s, yeah. But there are a lot of sketches and quotes like scribbled on the walls of the jail cells that were put there like by the inmates.
Oh my gosh.
What's really funny is that because of course this jail this jail closed in the 90s, a lot of those sketches are like everybody's first anime drawing where there's like a lot of like anime sketches
like Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon.
It's like drawings of themselves but with like the hair over one eye so that they don't have to draw the eye, and then the hands are behind the back so they don't have to draw the hands.
I love it. I remember those days.
So it's reported that spirits are very receptive to paranormal investigations here. When Saskatchewan's TV show The Other Side filmed in the jail, Steele's late son Billy made his presence known. So Bill Steele did not tell the producers of the show about his son Billy, who had passed away shortly before them buying the jail, or like shortly after them buying the jail and moving from Toronto. But during the filming process, their medium brought up the name Billy and talking about things like heart failure and stuff like that, and which all lined up with Billy's story.
Oh, whoa.
Yes, yeah. There's a YouTube show called Ashes to Ashes, and does show the host brothers Dave and Chris being touched and affected by the spirits. So a lot of what I'm about to share here tonight is from Ashes to Ashes. It's probably the most in-depth reporting on the jail. It's like they have like a really great amateur documentary that's about an hour long, and they just go through every nook and cranny of the jail, and you can see them just being affected by these spirits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out later.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. And like I want to check out more of their videos that they have on there, because they do a similar thing that we're doing where they go just across the Maritimes and check out haunted locations.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So it's very, very cool. It'd be neat to get in touch with them and ask them for stories and stuff. Yeah. So although it's on the, quote, good side of the jail, cell number 5 is the biggest hotspot.
Wait a second. What do you mean the good side? Like the part where the inmates weren't kept?
No, it's the part of the jail where the less dangerous inmates were kept. So like the people
like
who were
theft
like,
and stuff.
Yeah, like petty robbery and like minor assaults, stuff like that. But things that are like violent assaults and murder and stuff, they were kept on the quote dark side, which I'll get on. Get into. Yeah. So there are many reports of being poked and touched in this cell, and it's mostly from women. They get the most reports. On the wall of cell number 5 is written, "Each time I make my mother cry, an angel dies and falls from heaven."
Oh,
yeah.
Goodness.
But right next to it is written, "Punky Walker, dirty talker," and "Liquor in the front, poker in the rear," written like alcohol and the card game. So, I feel like somebody was just feeling especially poetic one day and then just like,
Oh my God. I've never heard that before.
I think it's like the first dirty joke I ever learned.
Oh, gross. Okay.
It's so gross. It's so
really
dirty.
Gross.
Yeah. So in another YouTube video made by a woman named Kim, she reported that her bed in cell number 5 kept being pulled away from the wall.
Nope.
And a specific piece of paper that she had with her kept moving around the room whenever she left and returned. She had originally planned to stay in cell number 2, but she felt the need to change to the more active cell when she noticed her nickname Pussycat was scrawled on the wall.
Oh.
Yeah, so she took that as a sign of like, oh, I need to be in this jail cell. Like, I need to stay in this room tonight. Yeah. So the jail has on display one of the church pews used in the Underground Railroad with the secret compartment to smuggle slaves from southern U.S. So that's really neat.
Yeah, wow.
So, like, Bill Steele actually really likes collecting these really interesting antiques and novelties and stuff like that. There is a antique hospital gurney that showed up in a horror movie, apparently.
Oh my God. Of course it did, because those things are terrifying.
Like, I don't know what horror movie. Everything I've seen was just like, it was in a horror movie. And I'm like, I'm going to guess like probably like Saw or something. Like,
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like
but
one of the not Resident Evil, Silent Hill or something.
Yes, yeah. There's also like a lot of mannequins and dummies around, and like watching these videos, like they just enter a dark cell and turn on the light. There was like one that was like, it had the upper, like the torso and head of like a toddler like mannequin, but then its arms and legs were like in this weird like dancing pose, and it was like, ugh, I don't like it. Like, I don't like that.
Pass.
Yeah, that's a hard pass for me.
Yeah.
So on the dark side of the jail, which, like I said, it's for very violent offenders, is where the death penalty inmates were hanged. There was
indoors?
Yeah, they were hanged indoors.
Oh.
There was a trap door from one level to the lower level, and sentenced prisoners would drop down in front of other inmate cells as a form of psychological torture.
That is so messed up.
It's sick. It is disgusting.
Oh my gosh.
It is so gross. And like the way it was set up, it would specifically fall in front of the jail cell of whoever was next in line. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awful. Holy crap.
And some of these people, they would stay in jail for years on end. And so like, hey, you're basically watching your friends die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Disgusting.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, I'm so against capital punishment on so many levels, but not least of which being like, hey, there's a lot of psychological abuse and torture happening.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. The Steele's young daughter has an imaginary friend.
Wait, let me guess. Her imaginary friend is named Frank, and she talks about the tattoos on his knuckles.
No, but that's also what I was expecting when this story started.
Okay.
So her imaginary friend, and like I said, as far as I know, this is still present. Like she still sees this imaginary friend, is a young girl. And when Natasha Steele, so her mother, asked her where this imaginary comes from, her daughter took her to the room that would house female inmates, pointed to a corner and said, "From that portal." Apparently, she was genuinely surprised that her mother couldn't see anything. Like, couldn't see the portal. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. A next door neighbor to the jail has also reported seeing a little spiritual girl who matches the description of the imaginary friend. They see it on their own property, though. Like I said, it's right next to the jail. So in the Ashes to Ashes documentary, Dave and Chris theorized that the portal could be a portal between the jail and the next door property. So, yes, that was their speculation.
Well, yeah, when she said portal, I was thinking like some kind of alternate dimension.
That was my first thought too. Yeah. But it's like, well, I mean, yeah, I guess if somebody else is seeing it on their property.
Was there a description of the girl or the portal written down anywhere?
I couldn't find it. No. Like, I'm like, I can't wait for this to become a more popular place, because there are very few in-depth deep dives like done by like, I was going to say reputable sources, but like done by more more established paranormal investigators, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
So I really I really want more people. I would love for Bill Steele to get on there and like tell all of the stories and all, like everything that's happened to him there.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of it is just coming from people who have stayed there, or like Bill Steele has said that, like, hey, there are definitely spirits here, but I've never felt in danger. Like he and his he and his family live in the jail full time. And he says that he says that he's been able to like walk around like at 3 a.m, like butt naked, going to the kitchen, and he can feel that there's somebody there, but he doesn't feel like he's in danger. Good. And he says he's chicken shit. So he's like, you trust me that it's not dangerous.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
So while filming the Ashes to Ashes video, host Chris had a very visceral reaction to being in the room where the death row inmates were hanged. He reported feeling lightheaded with a sensation of being rubbed on his leg and poked.
Oof, yuck.
Chris then feels someone rush by them, like him and Dave sees a shadow pacing the hall where Chris felt the presence went.
Oh, that's creepy. Yeah. It didn't lick him in the front and poke him in the back, did it?
No, but he says it was rubbing his thigh, so like it was getting a little frisky.
Looking for it.
Yeah. And this Chris guy, you can tell he's a cutie, like he's a real cute sweetie. So yeah. So for what I can tell, Chris very much has like the emotional reactions to things, whereas Dave like tends to see things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, in Ashes to Ashes, while standing over the spot where the Banister brothers are reportedly buried, host Dave has a sensation of someone resting a cold hand on the back of his neck 3 times, and he is very obviously rattled. Like there's a bit of a jump scare the first time it happens.
What a sin! You don't like jump scares.
No. It like my headphones just flew off of my head, and like I just shut my laptop, and I'm just like, you wiener. Like it's just like, it's literally a man shouting because he's startled. Like that's all it was.
Yeah.
Like yeah. In July of 2019, the jail had to close off for overnight stays because the local fire marshal was alerted that there was no fire escape plan. But it did remain open for day tours. It has since reopened for overnight stays, and you can stay there for as low as $99 a night, which includes a tour and free reign to explore the jail in its entirety.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that is the Dorchester Jail AirBnB. You can Google that super easily, find their Airbnb listing. They used to have a website called stayinajail.com, but that seems to be defunct now, I should say. Defunct now. I think that they prefer using Facebook and the Airbnb website now. So yeah,
that makes sense. Well, thank you. That was a good story. I had not heard of that.
Yeah, my mom actually went on the tour last summer, I believe.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. At one point, so her and her tour group were going through a room, and there was like a pipe with condensation on it, like right in front of where my mom was standing, and all of a sudden a handprint appeared on the condensation.
No.
Yeah. So she went to take a picture of it.
Yeah.
And in the picture you can see like the slight outline of a shadow standing behind the pipe.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so creepy.
So yeah, I might ask her for that photo and see what she says. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is a very paranormally active spot. And she says, like, you should stay the night there. And I'm like, no. But then it's like, well, if Jill wants to, then I will.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to check it out when it's not cold.
Yes. Maybe for your birthday.
Okay, so.
We can do a live recording there.
Oh, yeah.
For Jilloween.
Jilloween. Okay, so you brought us back to New Brunswick, and that's where you're from. So I'm going to bring us back to Cape Breton, where I'm from.
Yeah, it's hometown stories. Woohoo! That's a yeehaw from the heart.
So you ended up doing some research on some ghost hunters. And I also ended up doing some research on some ghost hunters.
Really?
Yeah. So,
oh my God.
So there's a couple of ghost hunters from Cape Breton, and they have, I guess their organization or whatever they're called, Haunts from the Cape, and they focus on local ghosty situations, and it's pretty cool. And their names are Doug Mumberket and Jason Murphy. So anyway, about a year ago or something like that, or I don't know why I said something like that. About a year ago, they made it into the local paper, or at least on the website, and they were talking about the 5 most haunted places in Cape Breton.
Oh, hell yeah.
Throughout our podcasting history, we've already stepped on a couple of these, which would be the Fortress of Louisbourg and the Glace Bay Miners Museum. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to cover a third one that's on the list. And the other 2 I covered because I kind of knew about them through, living in Cape Breton. But this one I found specifically on this list. And this is Black Brook Cemetery.
Ooh, I think this may have come up in my research as well. Like, again, I saw it come up, but I didn't actually look into it at all.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So this cemetery was consecrated in 1842 by the Presbyterian Church of Cow Bay. However, that doesn't seem to have helped it very much in the sense that it seems to be haunted by at least one ghost, possibly more. So the first ghost that I wanted to talk about is not just any ghost, but they claim that it is the ghost of a witch. So it's
which story? Sorry, I get really excited about witch stories.
Yeah, I thought you would. I was really excited to talk about this one just because
I could hear it in your voice. I'm like, this is gonna be so good.
And to be honest, I don't have a ton of material here, but I am excited to talk to you about this because I think I want to talk about it. Anyway.
It's very well established that I like witches.
It is very well established. Okay, so near Sydney, so the town that I grew up in, there's a really small community called Port Morion. And according to these 2 ghost hunters, so haunts from the Cape, they say that there is a legend that there was a witch who lived in Port Morion. Now, I didn't find any information about the witch when she was alive. I couldn't find out why they thought she was a witch or how her community treated her. But I'm assuming it wasn't very well because once she passed away, they wouldn't let her be buried in their local graveyard.
Rude. Oh, that's shitty.
I know. And no wonder they're haunted.
Yeah. No, they had this coming.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that they did this because they were jerks. But instead of burying her in the graveyard, they buried her outside of the graveyard.
Those tits. Oh my God. I am so angry.
So it's okay, we don't want you actually in our consecrated ground, but we will bury you out there where you can definitely rise up again and make our lives hell. So
I am so angry. That's what. Oh God, people are garbage.
Yeah, I know,
people
they really
are such garbage.
So so they add insult to injury. So these 2 ghost hunters, they were going around the graveyard and they were picking up some cool EVPs with their little reader majiggers.
That's the official term for them, yes.
Yes, exactly. So I didn't hear these recordings myself, so I decided that I would give you kind of my interpretation of what their experience was like. Okay, so Are you laughing? I didn't even start yet.
I'm so excited, though.
Okay. So let's bring ourselves to Port Morion in our minds for a second.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a small little town, and we're walking along, and we see this graveyard, and we're ghost hunters.
Hell yeah.
And we want to find some evidence of ghosts. So we take our machines. We know what they're called because we are
the thingamajiggers.
Because we're straight up ghost hunters. They're our thingamajiggers. And we take them and we're walking along. Black Brook near the cemetery.
You are such a good storyteller.
I already used like thingamajiggers and checked my notes since beginning this short story. Okay. So we're walking along the brook and we see to our right this graveyard with these decrepit stones, and we're walking along and we decide we're going to start talking to whoever may be around us. Definitely outside of the graveyard.
Uh-huh.
Definitely not in the graveyard because we know there ain't no witch buried in there.
Yeah. We ain't chumps. We know how
we
it
ain't
do.
chumps. We know where we're looking.
Yeah.
So we say, you know, we're trying to get a rise out of the beings that are around us, and we say,
Because we're disrespectful jerks.
no.
I don't want to get a rise out of nobody.
I should have said not a rise. Maybe a response is a better word. Okay, so we're walking along the brook and we want to get a reaction or some kind of response. And all we say is, who lives up this brook? And a response on this, our thingy-majiggy says, witch.
Oh.
So then they're feeling, you know, we're getting this sensation of like eyes on the back of our heads and just kind of being watched from the trees and from our surrounding areas. And we say, who is watching us? And once again, our EVP readers say, a witch.
Oh, it says a witch.
The second time it says a witch. The first time it says witch, and the second time it's a bit more specific in saying that there's one, and it is a witch.
Well, it's because it's like, who lives up this brook? It's like, which brook?
Which brook?
Which one? Oh, that one? Oh, that's a witch.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, who's watching us? A witch. Like, I already told you.
Oh my God, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
I am picturing us in like super cheap Ghostbusters costumes.
Oh my God, yes, please.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like they like crinkle as we walk.
We're really obnoxious.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically that was this kind of experience of them reading their EVP meters at the brook. So they got some responses. And also in this area, they have also gotten some rude responses. Some, let me see. I don't know if I have... I'm not sure if I found out exactly how rude, but like they've gotten kind of like smart-mouthed or swearing responses on their EVPs. Yeah.
That's my kind of witch.
Yeah. So they actually explored the cemetery itself as well. And I thought this was kind of interesting. So they would go around in the cemetery and they would sing nursery rhymes near child's graves, like some children's graves, and they could hear the nursery rhymes being finished for them on the EVP.
I don't like that.
Yeah, is this a thing?
That's super creepy.
Like, is this a thing? Like, is this like, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone trying this before, but is this like something that people do?
I feel like it makes sense because a lot of nursery rhymes are really old. So it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter at what time period they died. Like, there's a good chance that they know, like, Ring Around the Rosie or Humpty Dumpty or stuff like that. Yeah.
And it's like, and now that you're saying it, it would be super relatable. Like something that, and who doesn't have the urge to finish a nursery rhyme once it begins? Like, you kind of get into that cadence and you're just kind of going along with it.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
That makes sense.
Tell me more about these asshole ghost hunters, apparently.
I don't think they're... Okay, well, I don't think they're assholes, but...
Well, I'm talking about us.
No, us. Okay.
I'm not... these strangers
like,
that I don't know.
Like,
these freaking jerkwads. Tell me more about these
really,
jerkwads. That's so aggressive, Chris.
Yeah, I was like, that's really harsh for poor Doug and Jason from around Port Morion. That's pretty severe.
Chrissy's today a good day to record.
Let's see.
Yes,
let's
go
see.
on.
Oh, and they were saying that when they would get out of the car to like go into around this graveyard, they would feel this like hostile presence. So you know how you were saying with the Airbnb that they don't feel threatened, even though it's like a jail and everything. Mm-hmm. But in this graveyard, just getting out of the car, pitch day. Oh my gosh. Getting out of the in the middle of the day.
Go on.
So they would get out of the car in the middle of the day and still feel very threatened. And one of the guys said that he actually got back in his car and left one day because he just couldn't handle how hostile it felt there. Yeah.
Woof.
So they do have a YouTube channel. And they did have a video that took place in Brook, and it was just kind of a video with one of the meters. I don't think it was an EVP meter or anything, or I don't know what it was. It was something, and it had a reading on it. I didn't understand what it meant, but he was trying to communicate to a child's grave by offering candy. So it's like, I don't know, some kind of trick-or-treating attempt, I suppose.
Reverse trick-or-treating. It's like, I'll give you candy if you'll say trick-or-treat. But yeah, I don't think he actually said trick-or-treat. That's again, my sort of interpretation of the situation. That's fair.
But yeah, so that was sort of just my little bit of research on Brook Cemetery. I would definitely be interested in checking that out someday just to see how it feels, like to see if we get kind of those feelings of foreboding or...
Yeah. On the topic of cemeteries, I went to visit our friends out in Hillsborough and discovered that they are ridiculously close to, was it Graybriar Cemetery or Graves Island Cemetery. Yes. From episode 5.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Gray Island Cemetery.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't go to Gray Island Cemetery, did you?
No, we were running pretty late. We were getting there at 10 o'clock at night. And then we were just super busy that weekend. So we didn't have time to actually go down and check it out.
But now that you know where it is.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yes. So thank you so much for telling your story.
Thank you for telling your story. I think this was a really fun time. Like we had some laughs, some gasps.
Yes, yeah. And I feel like, this is going to be like a short but sweet episode. And it's a fun way to start 2020.
Yes.
Yes. So if anybody is looking for us online, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at MSN Podcast. You can find us on YouTube at Maritime Supernatural Podcast, which reminds me, I forgot to upload the last episode onto YouTube. So that will be going up. Yeah, that'll be going up shortly before this episode, probably. Oops.
Well, that's good. People who only follow us on YouTube will get like a double dose.
Yes, exactly. After God knows how long of a withdrawal, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
We're learning.
Exactly. And you can email us. Email us your stories or story ideas, anything that you think we could look into. We are planning on going out of Canada, like story-wise, not physically, but going out of Canada for our stories in the near future. You've brought that up once or twice, Jill.
Yeah.
So literally anything that you think that we could bring onto the show, you just email it to us. You can email us at maritimesupernatural@gmail.com. And it's spelled exactly the way you would think. It's all one word. There's no punctuation except for where you would expect it in an email. Also, thank you to Daniel Luke, who is the creator of our opening theme song. You can find his work at webbot15.com. That's WEBBOT15. He is an amazing artist, animator, and composer. Definitely check out his stuff. And yeah, thank you again, Jill, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. So I do have a personal experience.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Oh, my God. You should have interrupted me.
No, it's okay. But we have the intro, or we have the outro and everything done. So if you want, you could stick this in. But I just want to check with you first. Did I ever tell you about when I was in Scotland in the sort of the hotel that we had rented there?
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe I'll just tell it real quick because it kind of reminds me of the Airbnb sort of situation. So last year... no, not last year, 2 years ago now, my partner and I went on a trip to Scotland with a couple of friends of ours, and we went to this hotel sort of like smack dab in the middle of Skye, the Isle of Skye.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And it was kind of nestled at the base of all these mountains. And it was like this beautiful place. It was fall, so it was just before Halloween. So we were all like spookified and like everything was very, Halloweenish.
Charged. Yeah.
Yeah, very charged. And this was the year that The Haunting of Hill House Netflix series came out.
Oh, yeah.
My partner Arnell and I were finishing every evening off with an episode or two, if we could squeeze it in, of The Haunting of Hill House. So this night, we ended up in this hotel. I can't remember what it's called for the life of me. But as soon as we went in there, we went up to the floor where our rooms were. Like, it was only a 3-story building, or 4 at the most. And we got up there, and Janelle, our traveling buddy and a good friend.
That's right. You guys did go with Janelle. Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Janelle, if you're listening. One of the first things she said was, "This place is definitely haunted." And I was like, oh, okay. Like, Yeah. So we go to bed. And the room, so, later, Arnell and I, we go to bed, and each room has 2 separate beds instead of one bed. I'm assuming they get a lot of travelers and hikers and stuff and people who want to share a room.
Oh, probably.
But maybe aren't together.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we get in this room, and it's really old. It's clean. But it's like you can feel that it's really old, and everything, like the heat feels old. Just everything felt ancient in this building. And whenever I would lie down and we'd turn out the lights, I was so far from my partner in this strange place, and we would watch these episodes of this horrific television show. And I kept waking up and thinking I could see someone standing in the corner of the room.
No, thank you.
Facing the corner, like away from us.
No, that's a big no, thank you.
Yeah, and it was like this tall figure with fairly broad shoulders and like a hunched over head. So like kind of like ducking the head down and just facing away from us while we slept.
I don't like it.
And I was in the bed farther from the door, which was good for me. But whenever we turn the light on, I would just realize that there was nothing there, which might be scarier.
So like not even like not even a lamp or anything?
No, there was nothing in this corner. So like it must just be shadows of some kind, or like I have no idea. I'm just assuming it was some kind of shadow, like I don't know, but it really really felt when I would wake up that someone was it felt like I was being watched, even though when I would look the figure was facing away. So I don't really know why I felt that way, but
your skepticism is killing me. Like,
I'm so sorry. I was just kind of like, I kept thinking I saw someone standing over there.
That's
like
weird.
I didn't even, but so that was
I just followed this fort worker and they disappeared, but they must have run ahead.
What if I see ghosts all the time, but I'm just so skeptical that I explain them away?
You have no idea how often I think that that's the case. I am so like, especially like I know Janelle. Janelle is very sensitive to spirits, it's like, if she says it's haunted, I believe her that it's haunted. Like
the other thing that was creepy was that you could hear footsteps above us, but at the time we didn't know there was a floor above us. Like we thought it was like an attic or something, but I think there was a floor above us, and it was like
yeah.
just kids running around or something. But
okay, well, we'll say that. We'll say that one is mundane.
yeah.
But
yeah, that is just what I thought of when we talked about the Airbnb.
I was like, so sweaty.
I'm sorry.
I'm so angry at your skepticism. The worst.
But yeah, so that was that, and we already said our sign off.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for tuning in, and thank you for joining us in 2020.
Yeah.
And yeah, just real quick, Twitter, Instagram, MSN Podcast, YouTube, Maritime Supernatural Podcast, email maritimesupernatural@gmail.com. Daniel Luke is our amazing composer for the intro music. You can find him at webot15.com. And rip in peace.
I love you. Goodbye.
Fare thee well.
All right, I'm turning off the recording.